Hey guys, today I'm going to be reviewing The Hobbit by J.R.R Tolkien. It's about time I read this book. The Hobbit is the prequel to the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and it follows that of Bilbo Baggins, who is recruited by the wizard Gandalf and a company of 13 dwarves to help the dwarves reclaim their lost home under the Lonely Mountain. Bilbo is a simple hobbit. He loves the comfort of his home, and he just doesn't want to go on an adventure. But Bilbo quickly discovers just how useful he can be. He fights some trolls, he saves the dwarves on occasion, he tricks a dragon, and he comes in possession of a certain ring. Finally, I have read this book. The Hobbit is considered one of the all-time best children's classics, and I can't believe it's taken me this entire time to finally read it. But I have a very shallow, vain reason for kind of putting off reading the book. I have the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but I have the movie edition covers of the trilogy. So I figured I'm not even going to get an edition of The Hobbit yet until they release a movie cover. And that is exactly what I got. I know a lot of people don't like movie covers, but that's an argument for another time. By the time I read this book, the first movie had already come out for The Hobbit, so I basically already knew what the first 100 pages of the book would be about. So after the first 100 pages, it was all a surprise to me, because I did not know what to expect. And this may be an unpopular opinion, but I really enjoyed the Hobbit movie, the first one. The book wasn't really that spectacular to me, and I'm most likely really going to enjoy movies 2 and 3. Now, don't get me wrong, this book was not awful, but I had a lot of issues with it that I experienced while I was reading the Lord of the Rings trilogy. With The Hobbit, just like what I had with the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I found The Hobbit to have weird pacing. Sometimes the action was quick, sometimes it was incredibly slow, and some of the action was just so quick and so fast. For example, the Battle of Five Armies, that just flew by. I think that was just a couple pages, or a chapter, I think. And I also felt like I never got to know any of these characters. I think Bilbo was kind of it in terms of grasping who he was as a character. And I think what I was most surprised about while reading The Hobbit was the lack of Thorin. I know what you guys are thinking. You're thinking, Stacie's in love with Richard Armitage. She just wanted Thorin in the book more often. Okay, that's sort of it. I really thought Thorin was going to be in the book a heck of a lot more, because in the first Hobbit movie, he's in that thing, like, from start to finish, like, all the way through, in, like, big, powerful scenes with him. And I just didn't get that in the Hobbit book. I remember before Richard Armitage was cast as Thorin that his casting in particular was a big thing among fans. Fans really wanted to know who was going to play Thorin, and that was just a big deal. So my impressions, having never read the book, I thought Thorin was some larger-than-life character, a very epic character that fans really just attached to. I really thought he was kind of like Aragorn, for instance. So when I do finally read the book, I have these impressions in my head that he is going to be this very grand character, but I honestly did not feel that epicness that I initially kind of thought was going to happen. So my big issues while reading The Hobbit, like I said, were pacing and lack of character development. Really, the book is just this grand, sweeping adventure, and it goes from this point to this point to this point, and you don't really get to learn anything about anyone. So when I did finally finish this book, the first thought that came to me was, why is this book so hugely popular? Because I don't really see it. I can understand why the Lord of the Rings trilogy is so popular. There is so much that happens in those books, and you really do get a sense of who the characters are. And I just don't see why The Hobbit people really connect to it like they do. If you love The Hobbit, please share with me what it is you love about The Hobbit so much and what it is that I'm missing. So I started off with all the bad of the book that I didn't enjoy, but what did I enjoy? I did enjoy something. I did adore Bilbo as a character. He's just a very blunt character. You can really read him. You can read the surface of his character. He's very funny, he's witty, he's very intelligent, and I think he doesn't give himself the credit that he deserves. So he's a very flawed character and someone that you can kind of connect to. And for a character who did not want to leave his home, he becomes one of the most heroic characters in the entire novel. Some of the best chapters in this entire book, I know I complained in the first half of this review, but the best chapters were far and away the chapters with Bilbo and Gollum and Bilbo and Smaug. Those were some very intense scenes, but I loved them. I loved the wit and comedy with the Bilbo and Gollum moment, and I really loved that intensity between Bilbo and Smaug and the dialogue there between them. A lot of the plot that I particularly enjoyed was the very cutesy stuff. For instance, I really loved the barrel escape from the Elf King. I also really enjoyed the scene at Beorn's house. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. I really loved that scene where Gandalf goes to his house and he's introducing all the dwarves, but there's this big old comedy going on, and Gandalf is purposely not counting the dwarves correctly, and so he's confusing Beorn at the same time. It's just a really comedic scene, and I actually can't wait to see that scene in particular in the next movie. And I oddly fell in love with Bombur, the fat dwarf. His lines had me laughing so much. It's funny because Bombur, he is hardly even in the first movie. They kind of just brush him aside, and he's just kind of there for very brief slapstick comedy purposes. But in the book, he has some very genuine comedy moments that I loved, and he has some really great lines. Okay guys, here's a fun little game. Can I name all of the dwarves? Let's see. I have them all listed over here at the side. I have a feeling I'm going to miss all of them terribly, so let me try it. Let's see. Thorin, Fili, and Kili. Notice I did the hot ones first, even though I don't think they're hot in the book, but whatever. Bombur, Oin, Gloin, Bifur. Did I say Bofur? I don't think I did. Oh, I only got 8, you guys. Noridori. Oh lord. I think I have 3 more left. I missed Dwalin and Balin. I can't believe I forgot about Dwalin, because I liked him too. Who am I missing? I don't know who I'm missing now. I'll have to write them all over here on the side and see who I'm forgetting. Well, I almost made it. I think I got 8 out of the 13. That's not too bad. Overall, you guys, even though I started this review off kind of negatively, I still really enjoyed the book. I think I enjoy it more as just a casual reading. I'm not enjoying it to the level that some fans do, like that extreme hype and love and devotion of the book. I kind of just love it casually. I'm not like overly in love with it that I have to read it again this instant. I am still very glad that I finally read The Hobbit though. I did pretty much enjoy the Lord of the Rings trilogy, even though there were some slow parts in those, and like I said, I think The Hobbit kind of had some of those similarities to the Lord of the Rings where it's kind of dry and a little boring and slow on occasion. And The Hobbit it's a classic piece of children's literature and something that is a must to read, especially for someone like me who majored in English, and it's just one of those things you gotta read. So that's it for my review of The Hobbit, you guys. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.